driving around Marylebone today, and I can tell you what, those roads are definitely wide enough in London for a street race if they actually really wanted to do it.
No.
Right, travel, Chris. Let's go.
Anyway, let's go. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Formula One Fans UK podcast. I'm Reese, and I'm joined today by
Chris.
And Dan.
Got you to think about that, didn't you?
No, I was making sure that I said Dan and not Danny. Because last week, Danny was Dan, and I was Dan, and it was just all over the place. But it's fine. It's fine, Chris. That was a podcast for those of us that woke up, okay?
Well, whilst Chris didn't wake up, some would say Chris left us with an empty promise, as he did at the end of our first episode of this season, promised to tell us about the bird-eating spider that came from Iraq.
I didn't know much about it. I ran away from it. Have you seen the size of a bird-eating spider?
I've not seen the size of a bird-eating spider.
You don't want to. Google it.
I don't know. What are we talking? Are we talking quail or are we talking owl, Chris? There's a big fucking difference in birds.
Well, it would be bigger than my hand.
Okay.
Couldn't. He was big. It was big enough for me to see it that the curtain was moving because something was behind it.
It's like, Chris, you stuck your hand out there. With those sausage fingers, it's a miracle you ever finished that Lego McLaren.
Hey. Started my Lego Anfield now.
You're on Lego Anfield.
That Lego McLaren does look tidy though. It does look good. You can't tell it. It looks good.
It looks really want a chocolate one.
Yeah, that's what we all do. But I generally would have paid double to have someone fucking do it for me.
For Easter, they could have released a chocolate orange McLaren.
I feel like Terry's would have been the sponsor for that. That they could have done that.
Well, if you're listening, CEO of Terry's Chocolate Oranges, whoever you are, you know what to do.
Yeah, you've missed out this year, but we'll support you.
And if you're listening, CEO of marketing at McLaren, stop making Hawaiian shirts and hats and do a chocolate car.
Although, do keep the Hawaiian shirts coming.
Yeah,
because we like to.
Let's split. Let's have diversity.
Let's have diversity. I'll tell you what, though, who couldn't eat a chocolate orange Lego car?
You?
No, vegans. And there we go. We brought it full circle.
But there's vegan chocolate. You can have vegan.
Yeah, but that's not real chocolate, is it?
Why would you do a vegan McLaren chocolate orange car? It goes against itself, doesn't it? Because vegans are all about saving the environment, but you can't have a car save the environment. So the vegans couldn't eat it anyway.
Tell you what, they can have a vegan chocolate swan pedalo. There you go.
Listen, what is veganism all about? Because plants and flowers are alive. Plants and flowers are alive.
It's about an hour too long. It's about an hour too long of what we have. We don't have time for veganism this week.
Yeah, but to sum up veganism, it's Chris, to sum up veganism for you, it's a medical condition where you have to tell someone what you are every 15 minutes.
And
otherwise you will implode.
Flavour. You're allergic to flavour.
We eat the animals to make sure that the grass and the flowers are kept safe for them.
Exactly.
You're doing a favour.
Exactly.
Stop trying to convert us.
I tell you what did someone else a favour. It was safety cars and Alex Albon. Because that was one heck of a drive in Australia. Alex Albon, absolutely our driver of the day. And it's another case of why you shouldn't close the voting as soon as the checker flag drops. Because Leclerc was brilliant, but Albon was another level.
I don't know how that happened. I was sitting and I was looking at him in 7th, thinking he hasn't stopped. What is it? He's gonna? And I was looking at the timing, and I was like, he's going to drop to 15th.
I thought he was going to drop to 11th. So when I noticed he was 10th, I was in shock.
I tell you what, though, this is going to be a season where every driver is going to get a point.
Do you think so? Because I really think that this has put pressure on Aston Martin.
They're in trouble.
They're in real trouble.
They really are.
I generally think this year it's not even going to be talent that gets the points. It's going to just be, can your car make it to the end? It's like it's going to be reliability. It's not even the fact of, we were all geared up for Max and Charles to go at it, and he's had 2 DNFs because his shit broke. like,
hey, can I just interrupt? I said this at the pre-season when we did. I said the Red Bull engines are going to be unreliable.
It's very weird that we started off talking about the porpoising and the drinks game of let's drink every time they say porpoising. But after looking into it more, the Ferrari porpoises more than the bloody Mercedes does. But but
they know how to switch it off in the corners. They're porpoising at a certain point. They're not porpoising.
That's it.
Right into the corner.
No. It's the Mercedes car. The Mercedes car porpoises at a lower speed, which causes its issues. But yet, the Ferrari is in fast.
The Ferrari is porpoising when its DRS is open. As soon as the DRS is dropped and the rear wing reconnects, the porpoising stops.
Yeah,
and it's the perfect compromise of when you want to porpoise. If you're going to porpoise, have yourself porpoising when you're in the slipstream of a car and you've got the DRS to sort of help counteract the negative effects of it. And as soon as you shut that DRS and the wing is hunkered down, and your car's hunkered down, the Ferrari is brilliant.
Yeah, you'd think they did it on purpose. I did hear something interesting over the weekend. They were talking about the Mercedes and the issues they're having with porpoising. And I can't remember who said it, but the line was Mercedes have tucked their car up so much and got rid of their side pods. There we go. Got rid of their side pods that now there's not so much weight on their floor, which is allowing the floor to flex more in high speeds.
Yeah.
So if they shot themselves in the foot.
If we can just put it back a little bit to what you said about how it's going to be about finishing and how everyone's going to get a point this season, there are 3 cars that are going to struggle with that. One of them is Latifi because he just can't stop crashing, and the other are the Astons because the Astons. I've never seen a worse weekend from a race team in Formula One.
But Sebastian Vettel came into that weekend with no real experience in the car apart from 3 days of testing, and then he had a day 1 failure and a day 2 failure.
I mean, and then the crashing and the crash, and he crashes in P3, and so does Stroll, and they crashed in P3, and then they barely got Stroll's car out, and then Stroll and Latifi, I mean, they're both barrier magnets as it is, so don't put them near each other, because they had the biggest mess. I mean, I don't know if it's more Stroll or more Latifi's fault, because Latifi let Stroll go, and then overtakes him as Stroll's looking for Zhou, I think it was, in the Alfa Romeo. It's just preposterous how the whole thing happened.
No, but it's just another stupid crash for no reason. It's stupidity. I'm not being funny, right? Stroll was going over to let the Alfa Romeo pass on the left, and Latifi tries to get through a gap which is half grass and half road, and then wonders why there's a crash.
I'm sort of wondering with Stroll, he's had a couple now this season already, and there's a point where you've got to look at the team's budget for the season, and how long does his dad keep him in the car if he keeps crashing and costing?
Let's not forget, this is not the first time Lance Stroll has had a crash on a slow lap. Don't forget, after the Chinese Grand Prix a few years ago, he just straight up understeered into Vettel and took Vettel's rear wheel off. Exactly the same side of the car, same sort of damage, and it's concerning with Lance Stroll. I mean, it's no better with Vettel what's going on, but you can understand Vettel's going to be rusty, desperately trying to play catch up, probably pushing too hard and setting his fastest lap times on a scooter.
Getting him a penalty for that was a joke.
He went and entertained the crowd. Are you not putting a show on?
Exactly. What is it all about? Is she not entertaining the crowd? It's just ridiculous.
But right, but let's put it into context, right? Did he hurt anybody by being out on the track?
No.
No. Like, did he entertain people?
Yes.
Yes. Is he making the sport more like viable
Human.
to new people like that want to
like Chris said, human.
Yeah, human. That's it. Yeah, making it more human. I'm not being funny. Like in the rain delays in NASCAR, they throw the American football into the crowd and get them to throw it back, and all sorts. And it's just.
Well, that's the thing. Like Lewis Hamilton going across in the track when there's a rain delay. Williams organising duck races and toboggan races down the pit lane.
Yeah.
It's what you need. You need to show this human side of things, and otherwise you just look like a load of emotionless robots that aren't so hard to like. Yeah.
I don't know. Can I just actually, while we're talking, and mention NASCAR? Have you heard of what is going on out there with Pilly Diggin?
No, I saw she flipped off one of the drivers. That obviously
she's lost.
Cut her up.
She, for the last few weeks, her and her boyfriend Chase have been being stalked. Huh? Basically, there's a guy living in Charlotte that is sending them death threats left, right, and centre. She missed a race last week because of it. And now the FBI are involved. She's got private security. And this is a 20-year-old girl that's racing trucks. And
this is so confused. But it's not the first time there's been... I mean, the FBI seems to get involved quite a lot when something strange goes on in NASCAR, because let's not forget the whole... was it Bubba Wallace thing where they found... where they thought they found a noose, and what it actually was a pulley rope to the garage door.
From the season before, as well. From the season before.
Anyway, this is Formula One Fans UK, not Redneck Fans UK. So we're going to move it back to Formula One. And, well, strangely, we're not moving fully back to Formula One because we're going to talk a little bit of IndyCar and how lucky Callum Ilott was that the aero screen is a thing.
Yeah. The aero screen saved Callum big time this weekend. I don't know how many people have seen the footage, but there was a crash in front of him, and there was quite a lot of debris. Kind of showered his car, quite large chunks. IndyCar have been running the ballistic shield now for, I don't know, they brought it in 2020. And it's basically, they have the, my head's not working today. What do you call a race?
Halo.
Alright, so they've got the halo around the cockpit still, but around that they've put ballistic glass.
Is it a halo? It's not the full halo, is it though? Because it hasn't got the bar down the centre.
It does.
It has a bar, but it's not the thickness of the halo. Is what
tiny bar. Yeah,
it's not as thick, but there is a support beam there. And it's saved drivers up until now. It has saved drivers without a doubt. And I still believe, you look back at Massa's crash in 2009 with his spring. I still believe at that point the halo wouldn't have stopped that.
Mm.
I still believe that would have come through and maybe even deflected down into his body instead of his helmet.
But this is the issue, isn't it? Because the aero screen is perfect for IndyCar because of the oval racing and the odds on there being an accident being so high, and the odds on small pieces of debris being shattered all over the road and being much harder to avoid because of the pack running.
They don't run as many oval races as they used to.
But I mean, it's the oval that
IndyCar is more road
courses. The oval to me that screams the need for the ballistic aero screen. I mean, it was on an oval. Let's say the Callum Ilott.
Yeah, we had an incident last year where drivers were complaining in Mugello of getting hit in the hand by stones.
But that's an occupational hazard. I mean, a stone is a stone.
Yeah, but that's the start of it. We tested the halo with an aero screen in 2017 at Silverstone. Sebastian Vettel did
It
one
wasn't
lap.
quite the halo. It was a
came back
pure
in.
glass. There was no bar coming down.
He
Was
came
there?
back in. No, we didn't have the halo at that point. We were still going between. Are we going
It
to
was
have?
the Red Bull Aero screen.
It wasn't. It was a Ferrari.
No, it was the Red Bull Aero screen.
Was it?
Yeah,
It was red.
It's the prototype
it
for the
was-
one that's now on IndyCar, isn't it?
It's whoever Vettel.
I'm
was
sure it
driving
was
for at the
developed by
time.
Red Bull.
Oh, I don't give a flying what's it. It was Vettel that drove it, and he went out and he came in after one lap and said he was dizzy, and that was the end of it. And I don't understand that, because you drive with the visor down and a screen in front of you. What's the difference between that and sports
Heat.
cars? You know, it's not. Heat is bullshit.
No, I'm just saying
excuse.
heat can make excess heat
Yeah,
can make
but
you feel dizzy,
yeah,
Yeah,
but
and it is proven that the cars do get hotter with the aero screen.
yeah, but we're looking at some time now.
Yeah, but there's extra venting.
Yeah, and you have to work that in.
You
course,
know,
but-
if you consider Silverstone temperature compared to Miami,
Yeah,
You
but that's
know,
humidity versus
Yeah.
We don't,
temperature.
of course,
isn't it?
this.
But,
We've also
but
got
I
to say
get what
this
you're
is a
saying.
prototype that Seb tested, and so
Yeah.
there is a good chance that things were a bit rushed with it, and it could have distorted his vision if the glass is bent poorly. There's no escaping that is a possibility.
yeah, but that was happened 6 months before it was put on in IndyCar and run.
A lot can happen. Look at Project Pit Lane, Chris, and what the F1 teams achieved 2 years ago, and that was
Yeah.
in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, but I was shocked when they released the what do you call it for this year's car, and it wasn't on there. I don't see a reason why we don't have it. Driver safety is meant to be the number one priority. We screamed ages ago about the halo because it was going to make the cars look ugly, and we weren't going to watch F1 ever again. Now we don't notice them.
No, I still
So-
notice them and I still hate them, but I understand why they're there more than when I was screaming about them going on. But I don't think
Yeah.
we are very far away from having the aero screen within F1 as well. I think it's maybe 2023. I reckon it's going to work because obviously they are working in IndyCar. You can't deny that.
But there's no denying that the halo has worked in every situation the halo has been called on in Formula One.
Yeah.
The halo
Yeah.
has done brilliant. I wonder if a ballistic glass shield could have held up as well as the halo did in Grosjean's accident, because that was a big metal bar in front of his face that's pierced and split the fencing either side. And I wonder if a ballistic screen could have
It's
held up.
ballistic for
Yeah,
a
but I
reason.
wonder if it would have held up in that
They-
same.
they-
I just don't know. It's something you never want to test.
But we're not taking away the halo.
No, I know what you're saying.
We're adding to it.
I know what you're saying, and I think we are probably going to go down that route, but it's going to be a lot about cooling as well. And we say all about these things of it's not as hot in Silverstone as it is in Miami. It's a damn sight hotter in the United Arab Emirates in FP1.
Yeah, but in IndyCar they've got all these new venting systems.
Oh yeah, I think give it 2 or 3 years of IndyCar perfecting it, and then Formula One will take it on. I just don't think it's quite ready as soon as Dan says.
Yeah, but we're running faster and faster, and ground effect is going to get faster whenever the cars stop porpoising. It's just going to build and build and build.
The thing is, sadly, I think that it's going to take
Somebody getting
something
hurt.
bad to get it. Like exactly the same reason that we got the Halo. We had a bad incident and we had to figure out a reason to stop that from happening again.
I think this is the thing with the Halo and the aero screen. It wasn't just a bad incident. Like, we were shocked with what happened with Bianchi, but not long after Bianchi, we had the Justin Wilson incident, and and of course you had Henry Surtees as well in junior racing.
And you had what's her? who was testing the car and she drove into the back of
Yeah,
the
the
lorry.
one for
Tatiana is.
hang on, I'm not sure. Give me 1 second. I'll do a quick Google. She drove for Marussia, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think, like, you know, no matter what device you've got on like the Halo side of it, I don't think it's going to help in a crash like that, is it? When you're completely rear-ending, just look at the Billy Monger.
Yeah, but he didn't
completely
have
rear-ended.
cockpit intrusion. That was his legs. There's
It was
nothing you could do to prevent that.
Maria
Yeah.
Del Villota, or Villota.
Maria
Del
Villota.
She was the one who had the accident, lost an eye.
Yeah, and then she died.
She
2 years
died
later.
in 2013. It feels like a world ago now. Nearly coming up to 10 years next year.
The day's going to come when something happens, and we're going to sit back and say, "Why didn't we have the screen?"
This is the thing. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I think we look at that now. We've already had that lesson in Formula One. We have lessons before the actual lesson. This is the thing. We'll go, something will happen and we'll go, why don't we have the aero screen? And then we'll look at it and go, well, we didn't need that lesson. We had the lesson of Felipe Massa. It's like, why did the Jules Bianchi accident happen? Oh, we'll learn from that lesson. We won't have cars going around when there's tractors on the track. But hang on, we nearly had the same accident in 2007 in Europe.
Yeah, but that was a terrible.
We nearly had the same accident. And
Terrible
before that, we
damage
nearly had the
one.
same, and we nearly had those accidents as well in 2003 in Brazil.
And safety car.
Yeah. Safety's come a long way in Formula One. It takes something terrible to happen for things to change. But hopefully now we're
Shouldn't be like
finding
that, though.
this curve of we're getting ahead of the curve, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think that they do need to start adopting new features before it is too late. And I think the way F1 is going now, with obviously the tech regulations are changing like so rapidly. But like, at what point does it not become open cockpit racing, and it becomes sports car racing with a completely enclosed cockpit to protect the driver? You know, it's
Yeah, but that was the argument when Halo first was talked about. But
it's like,
IndyCar have managed to make
how far do you take it?
IndyCar have made a success of what it is now. And touch wood, haven't had a serious cockpit intrusion incident since it was
What's
proven.
that, sorry, with
We're just saying that with the ballistic screen, they haven't had a serious cockpit intrusion since.
because I was, yes, but at the same time we have had intrusions to the cockpit, but not from the front. Of course, you look at Antoine Hubert's accident in Spa, where that was one of those things that, I mean, they couldn't avoid. But they are reprofiling Spa now, trying to change things. But there's
just some things you can't avoid.
Unfortunately, motorsport is dangerous, and you can only go so far before.
That's it. You can't avoid it, like Latifi can't avoid walls. It is what it is.
When you've got another single-seater out there that's running the same speeds as you, and it's got the next level of protection on it that you don't have, I'd be sitting with my hand up saying, why don't I have this?
Yeah.
But that's Chris's thought for the day.
That's all one of the thoughts that we'll get from Chris today. He's now tapped out.
Yes.
Can I go now? Can I go and do dinner?
No, because we do need to talk about our last our last topic. Of course, up next is Imola, and we've got, well, Imola was the site of a rather infamous collision last season between George Russell and Valtteri Bottas.
It wasn't infamous. Bottas did not like it. He took Russell out and he showed him his place, which cost Bottas his place this season.
Yeah, well, the question is, who's happier right now, Bottas or Russell in their new car?
Oh, Bottas is 100% happier. I think he
No.
had too much pressure. No, he's come from Mercedes where it's pressure, 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 pressure. And I think he's generally happy where he is now. Whereas I think Russell was happy to be there, but I think he's realising the pressure of what Hamilton and Valtteri were both under to win. Like, there is that vigorous training, that vigorous element in your life of like, we're here to win. That's it. Anything other than winning is not acceptable. Okay, yeah, it's not as toxic as Red Bull, where I reckon that if you don't win a race, you probably get tortured. But I think the pressure is high. But then again, saying that, I think Russell is not the happiest, but I think he's the better driver at the moment at Mercedes.
Chris?
You don't think there's the will to win at Alpha? You don't think they're pushing to win?
Yes, but I think there's less pressure because it's like because 2022, like we said, nearly everyone's probably going to get a point. We've had failures, we've had spins, we've had Vettel taking trips across grass, we've had like everything happen, and I personally think knocking Alpha out of actually winning a race is stupid. It's possible. But I don't think there's that heavy demand and that pressure from above to get that win. The same as you've got Mercedes, which have won for the past 7, 8 years, or whatever it is, and now they're completely screwed.
So why is George Russell suddenly better than Lewis
He's
Hamilton?
driving better at the moment, I think.
Why? Where do you get that from?
Well, the performance in Saudi Arabia, where George could get the car to work, and then the fact that they've both got one podium each this season. George, he had a terrible qualifying in Bahrain, but he fought back through the field to finish one place behind Lewis, and now
Wasn't really hard, let's be honest.
it was because that Mercedes is an absolute dog of a car. Let's not forget that Mercedes has gone from being a race winner. And confident you're saying that car is going to win half the races in a season, at least, to now going, oh, well, I wonder maybe this weekend they can battle with Alpine, and maybe this weekend they can battle McLaren, or maybe this weekend they can battle with Haas.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Lewis and Valtteri and why... and George, and why you think George...
Well, right now, better. I just feel George is driving better.
I think George has a better...
Lewis would have had more points after this race if he hadn't got screwed by the safety car.
Would he? I don't think he would have done. They would have been. Would have been just one. They would have just been in reversed order, Chris, and that's 2 points. Oh, sorry, 3 points. And Lewis is how many points behind is Lewis? Because George has had 4th, 5th, and 3rd. Lewis has had 4th, 3rd, and 10th.
I just think he generally has a better understanding of what this car is at the moment. Because obviously, look to the last race where Lewis favoured a more sturdy front end going into the corners and had it wild at the back. He that was just the wrong setup for them, and he hasn't found the right setup.
That's how he's always liked to drive a car. He's always liked to drive the car with a nose that will go in.
Yeah, but that's when the ass is up in the air. And you got that rake on it. Like it's not like that now, is it? It's completely changed. All the aerodynamics.
Dan explained it quite well last podcast. Dan said it very well. He said it with tongue in cheek. But the thing is, George Russell is used to driving a car that doesn't behave as you want it to behave. There's no escaping that. He's had years of experience in a Williams that's been uncompetitive, and he's been able to get results in it.
And said Williams finished 10th. So
full circle.
I don't know. I don't know. I still think Lewis will outscore Russell come the end because obviously, in typical Lewis fashion, he is going to get an understanding of this car. I just think George it suits his driving style better. The same as the last couple of years, it suited Lewis. At not McLaren, at Red Bull, it's favoured to Max.
Well, this year, I think the Red Bull was suited more to Checo's driving style.
Yeah. But because it's the first season of all these changes, I think it's going to be who can get a handle on them the quickest, and if you can be reliable. But
anyway, we were going on about it, and Chris, you're sort of saying, "Oh yeah, no, but Bottas shouldn't be happier. It should be Russell who's happier." So why should George be happier than Valtteri right now?
Because he's still getting good results with a bad car, and we know we're not naive. We know that Mercedes is going to get better.
Oh yeah,
well, yeah, if they can fix it.
And he's sitting there pulling out 2 podiums,
1 podium
in a car that's driving like dog shit. Sorry, 1 podium in a car that's driving like dog shit. I bet you come Imola, it's going to be the start of a turnaround. You know, they're going to put the new rear wing on, they're going to put the new floor on. Whether they put side pods back on, that's questionable. But, you know, I think this could be the start of the comeback in Imola. And then you've got Miami, which is going to be quite smooth.
Yeah, if it doesn't come in Imola, it won't come till after Miami. That's the issue.
It's after Miami, yeah.
But
then are they working then to still win a championship this year, or are they pushing for next
how many
year?
more years does Lewis Hamilton have? You want to get him that 8th championship. You need to start delivering now.
Next year's is last year.
So, but you want to be delivering now. You don't want to leave it to chance. You're Mercedes. You don't want to leave things to the last race. If you can wrap things up in round 16, you wrap things up in round 16. You don't wrap things up in round 22.
If they are serious and want to push for this year's championship, then things can't wait until after Miami.
Exactly. But my concern is it won't.
There, it needs to come.
My concern is it won't come till after Miami. I think we see it in Barcelona. That's when I think we see it, and that worries me. But sort of answering my own question on who do I think is happier with Bottas and George, I think that Bottas is the happier because he has, like Dan said, he's not got the pressure. He's driving well, and he's occasionally looking to his left and seeing his old team, which was a championship winner, next to him on the grid in a team that finished second bottom last year. I mean, Valtteri Bottas was pretty much sold a move to Burnley and ended up playing for West Ham. Whereas George Russell was sold a move to Man City and ended up at Manchester United.
But you know, is Alpha going to remain as competitive as they are right now?
I think with that Ferrari engine, absolutely. It's fast, it's reliable, and the car behaves. If Guan Yu Zhou can get a handle on it like Bottas got a handle on it, there is no reason they can't be 5th in the championship at the end of the year.
People are talking about the Mercedes engine.
It's slow.
But you've got two different styles of engine. So it's not just the engine slow. The cars that are in it, that the engine is in, are slow. Because you've got a design of engine that has got cooling in different places. Like the Aston Martin is a different design of car with a different design body to suit a different style of engine.
Well, it's the same. It's still the same engine. It's just about how you can cool the car.
It's not though. It's not. It's the engine is in the Mercedes has been designed completely differently to work the way it is working.
That's just,
and that's not the same engine that's in it.
Okay, well look at McLaren then. McLaren have sorted their looks like they sorted their brake problems out, and they were battling Mercedes this weekend.
And you say the engines are slow?
No, I'm not saying the engines are slow. I'm saying the cars are slow, but the engines are slow. Let's face it. If you compare that engine to the Ferrari or Red Bull equivalent, then the way I see it is the Mercedes engine this season is it's your marathon runner, but it's your non-professional marathon runner. It's your very good marathon runner. The guy who wins the unprofessionals race in the London Marathon. Then you've got your Ferrari. It's not your winner of the London Marathon. It's probably your second or third fastest guy in the London Marathon. Then, of course, you've got the Red Bull, the Alpine, which is sort of one of your slower professionals. It's still faster than, it's still like competitive, but it's not as good as the Ferrari. And then you've got your Red Bull, which is a 100-meter sprinter, which is really fast, but won't last the distance.
Toto said it at the weekend that we're driving because of the way the car is driving. We're having to drive with a shitload of aero on it. So we've got a load of drag. So the engines aren't being shown to be as fast as they are until we can get the drag off and sort out the porpoising. The engines are going to look slow.
Yeah,
that's
help.
a fair point. That is an
But
point.
I could say,
but I think obviously right. I'm looking at the top set, or I'm looking at the 2022 driver standings. Right, in the top 10, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 Ferrari engines. You have 3 Mercedes engines, a Renault, and then the Red Bulls. Right. I generally think the Ferrari engine is just a superior engine. Like I don't know what they've done to it. That it's so much faster than the other cars.
Well, Ferrari were developing last year whenever
But the thing is, right, I don't even think it's faster. I just think it's more. It is going to be more reliable because they've had their ass kicked for the last 5 years, just been getting battered. So it is about time there, but. Also, looking at the standings of the points and stuff like that, I've just noticed that Max is 46 points away from Leclerc.
this is a bigger lead. This is a bigger lead
how
after 3 races than we saw at any point last season. It's bonkers. I mean, Leclerc looks like he's running away, but George Russell is blooming second in the championship. I know we're talking about who's happier. Should it be Bottas or George? I think everyone overlooks the fact that George has somehow wound up in second. I mean, that's just through consistency and reliability.
Exactly. That is it. It is at this point in time. It is a reliability issue. I don't think it's a performance issue.
Exactly. But with that, we are unfortunately out of time with this episode. As always, if you've enjoyed what you've heard, check out the link in the bio of the podcast, and follow us on all our socials that are linked in there. As always, this podcast is sponsored by Apex Tracks. For all your 3D printed track wall art needs, head to apextracks.com. That's apextraxs.com. Until next time, gentlemen, hope you've enjoyed the last few races as much as our listeners have. And on to Imola, where we've got the bloody sprint race back.
Yes, but more racing. I know it's a shit format, but it's more racing. More racing for the fans.
It's more racing, but it's on a narrow track. We will really see if these new cars work with a sprint race at Imola. But unfortunately, we can't get into that now. But I'm sure we'll end up moaning about it in the next episode. So until then, we'll speak to you in a couple of weeks. Stay safe, enjoy the racing. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheerio, guys.
Cheerio, guys.